NBA Finals tonight. Albert Breer, senior NFL reporter. There's some good stuff going on. Lamar's not at camp, either is Aaron. Kyler Murray is. I think it's significant. I said at the top of the show today, you can't time the market. If you like a house, buy a house. Don't worry about interest rates. If you like something, get it. You can say what you want about Kyler Murray. Here's what I know. He's been available in 94% of the games they've played. Seattle's in a rebuild. The Niners aren't sure about Trey Lance. It is go time with the Rams next 5 years. Try to win that division. It feels obvious to me. Do you think they're close to this? Where do you think the team sits with Kyler today?
I think they're going to get something done. I think it's going to be a matter of time. I do think the Deshaun Watson situation complicated things a little bit. I don't think this is about raw dollars, Colin. Like, I think that they know they're going to be in the 40s. We have 5 quarterbacks that are in the 40s now. So I think that's actually 6 quarterbacks in the 40s now. So they know they're going to have to go there financially. It's the structure. It's the guarantees. And so the next couple of months are going to be very, very interesting. Now, that said, I will say, like, I have heard that this isn't the first time that he's been in the building over the last few weeks. He was there for a couple of days during phase 2. He was there for the first day of OTAs last week. It just sort of flew under the radar. So the fact that he's showing up and as a part of these things is important. And the fact that he showed up yesterday was important too, because that's when most of the veterans returned. The entire offensive line really hadn't been around until yesterday. They're there now. So, you know, I think the fact that he's coming back when really the bulk of the team is starting to do the on-field work towards 2022 is a good sign, because this is voluntary and does show at least some level of trust that Kyler thinks we're going to get something done. I think the Watson deal does complicate it to some degree, but after the Cardinals reinvested in Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury, I'm not sure they have any other way to go.
I mentioned the Niners and Trey Lance earlier in the show, and I was told earlier this week there are concerns with his accuracy in the building. And, you know, I'm always very suspicious when I don't see practice video. Jordan Love, I didn't see any practice video. When Mahomes was sitting on the bench, it's funny how all the video leaked. We could see it grow. And, you know, so I look at this thing with Trey Lance. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I can remember the Mahomes video almost looked fake. Like, I remember seeing it like, oh my God, like, what is that? Yeah, what I'm hearing on Trey Lance, I think they got a guy who was really raw coming out and was never going to play in year one. And part of it was, I just watch him. I don't think they felt like he was that natural a thrower of the football, so they had to rebuild him from the ground up. On top of that, he didn't play a lot at North Dakota State, and even when he did play, he didn't throw a lot, so he hasn't seen a lot. And so I think the idea was kind of to feed him by a fire hose last year and try to see how much he could take. And there were ups and downs, no question about it, last year. I think where they are right now, you know, I think that process of rebuilding him as a thrower is ongoing. And I think if you had to play a game today, the Niners would probably have to run a variation of Kyle Shanahan's offense. And I think that's the issue right now is, can you run the full breadth of what Kyle Shanahan's offense is and has been over the last 5 years in San Francisco? I think as it stands right now, they would have to do some things to help get Trey Lance going. So I don't think we'd be seeing quite the same offense that we saw with Jimmy Garoppolo the last few years. Could they make it work? Yes. Is there physical ability there? Yes. Is there a long way to go? I would say the answer to that is yes as well.
Whenever a player goes public, it generally tells me with his salary or contract demands is that he wants to get it done. I mean, if he didn't want to play, they'd leave. Aaron Donald's got years left. I think he wants to get it done. He just signed with Kanye. It's probably a shoe deal. Hard to sell shoes when you retire. I think he's going to play. I think he wants to get it done. And I think athletes go public, and broadcasters, by the way, you go public when you really want to be there and you want to put pressure on your bosses. That's my takeaway on the Aaron Donald situation. When he said last week, I could retire, I'm fine. I don't know. I don't buy that. Your thoughts?
Well, you mentioned Kyler and Lamar, right? Like, there's a reason you see players pushing for contracts now. Under the new CBA, the holdout rules are incredibly restrictive. It's hard to hold out in the summer. So the time to do it if you want a new contract, the time to put pressure on your team is actually now in the spring. And Aaron Donald's never been afraid to put pressure on his team before. There were holdouts in consecutive summers before he got his long-term deal, his first long-term deal with the Rams. And so I think you have to take all of that into account, that this is a guy who's drawn a hard line financially in the past. And because of the way the rules work now is really the time to try and get something done. It's complicated, Colin, because they've already mortgaged his contract 6 ways from Sunday. So you're not just dealing with the $55 million in cash that's remaining over the last 3 years of his old deal. You're also dealing with more than $20 million of dead money that has to be accounted for one way or the other. And so, this isn't as easy as just, pushing a button and saying, we're going to move a bunch of money into the next 2 years and you're going to make all of your money up front. We're going to add a couple fake years to the back of the deal. This is more complicated than a normal deal is. I do think ultimately it gets done because the Rams get these things done. Do I think it's possible that it's a little uncomfortable and it may take right up until the start of training camp? That's possible. But we've seen the Rams are in it for right now. And so I do think eventually they'll get something done with him and he'll play probably for at least another couple of years.
By the way, 45 seconds left. If you had to guess, I'm guessing Saints. If you had to guess where Baker is by the trading deadline, who do you think he plays for? Minute left.
Seattle, maybe. I just think Drew Lock, I know Pete Carroll and John Schneider really liked him coming out in 2019, and they've seen some stuff from him, in the spring that they like. I just think because Pete Carroll is at the point in his career that he's in, I think you're going to get to the summer and maybe figure out that it's not good enough. I do think the Browns' intention here is to try and be patient with the situation because they feel like some suitor, whether it's through an injury or a quarterback situation, is just not being what a team thinks it is right now. There's going to be some suitor that's going to shake out of this. So if I had to guess right now, I'd say Seattle, keep an eye on Carolina too. I think those are the two teams. I do think the Saints are, at least for right now, all in on Jameis. We'll see if that changes.
All right, good stuff, Albert Breer. Good seeing you, buddy. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.